Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. This is Real Estate Uncensored, the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. As Greg was just telling me before we went live, we're going to keep it classy today, which I guarantee you, Greg will immediately violate his own advice because he is the junior grandmaster. He is in the co-pilot seat, as always, and I'm sure with it being Friday, he is just ready to unleash with something. So with that said, what is up today, Greg?
Oh my God, I am so ready to unleash something. And it is my goal before we go live to always say something that is going to either make you like go white as a sheet because you're embarrassed, or make you laugh so that when the live camera goes on, you're like, gosh damn it, again. Damn it, he got me. But okay, so we were talking about
I remain unflappable because we were talking. One of the reasons we were talking about this before we went on. So you can see that drum set in the background, right?
Oh God.
So there was a time. And this is how unflappable I am, Greg. There was a time when the lead singer of my band, we were an hour late to get on the stage because of the other horrible bands that were in front of us. And by the time we got on stage, our lead singer was trashed. And we're talking about, he's mid 40s, and he's put on some weight over the years. He's not skinny anymore. He wasn't fat. He was not John Popper, but he was he was a little on the chubby side. But anyway, he was so trash that halfway through the set, he fell backwards into my drum set. I didn't miss a beat.
Like, fuck you, dude, move. God damn it. You
That's right. So as always, me, the certified Greg Wrangler, I remain unflappable.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, here's my time to talk. Anyways, so we're talking off air, and you know what? It's Friday. I got really excited. And then I realized I'm still a real estate agent, and it doesn't matter. And so now moving on. Matt,
well, you need to take Aaron's upcoming class, how to make all the money you want working 9 to 5.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay, let's bring in our special guest because we're going to talk about some really, really cool stuff, blending high tech and high touch radio, old school radio, and podcasting with networking, all kinds of stuff. So let's welcome in Mike D'Ambrosio. Mike, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
What's up, buddy? This is going to be a good show.
It is going to be a good show. This is going to be a lot of fun because we have we're very aligned on a lot of the stuff that we're doing. We've got a lot to talk about, everything from podcasting to how you're doing like a co-hosting a real old school live radio show in the Bay Area there, south of where Greg's at, and then how that feeds into your old school networking, like your actual in-person, face-to-face, actually meeting actual people. And how that feeds into I know, it's crazy. Crazy talk.
Crazy
so we'll talk about all that stuff. But first of all, just give people kind of a 60-second bio on exactly where you're at and what you do.
Yeah. Again, my name is Mike D'Ambrosio. I'm currently sitting in Los Gatos, California, over in the high-tech capital in Silicon Valley. I've been doing this, selling real estate for about 9 years now. I made the genius decision to get into real estate in 2008, which was probably the worst time to get into real estate. And actually, I started in Sacramento, which is one of the worst markets to get into real estate as well. But learned a lot since then. I'm at Intero Real Estate Services, which is where we have #1 market share in Santa Clara County. We're doing really well as a company here. Currently the assistant manager of our office here in Los Gatos. I sell mainly in Santa Clara County, single family, as well as I do some land and development stuff too. So
awesome.
So you're a little bit, you have a lot of time on your hands, I take it?
Yeah, a ton of time on my hands. All sorts of time.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So tell me, Greg, you guys know some people at Intero, and I've heard good things about Intero, but I don't really know what the value prop is real quick. So before we get into some of the other stuff, like why are you there? Why do they have a good market share in the Bay Area?
So Intero, we've been around for almost 15 years now. We have 14 corporate offices in the Bay Area and then a bunch of franchises all throughout the country. From a technology standpoint, we are the leader in just different technology tools with helping our agents. I think the reason why, and we're also, about 2 years ago, we got bought by Berkshire Hathaway. So we are a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate. So we have the backing of one of the best brands in the world, and Warren Buffett. But I think it's really our leadership is what's driving Intero. We've had great leadership throughout its inception, really. And our CEO, Tom Tognoli, is a great guy. I went on a hike with him this morning. I mean, it's just a really, close-knit management core, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Greg, do you remember who you guys know over there?
Yeah, we were the #1 agent for Intero in 2005. You know, we were I remember going to the meeting when we separated from Alon Pinnell and we all became Intero agents. Gino Bafari, you know, he led it. Now he's running all of Berkshire Hathaway. You know, so I know like all the upper management. They are legitimately good dudes and dudettes. I'm not going to be sexist.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a good company, man. Really good company. So yeah, I mucho kudos to you.
All right.
Well, let's get into something real quick that I've seen that I want to talk about. If anybody caught the Facebook Live in the lead gen group, you might know what I'm talking about. But there was an interesting article on open houses and just debating the merits and stuff like that. We can go back and forth on that a little bit. But there was a quote from a realtor that really kind of set me off a little bit. And the quote was that open houses are essentially old school and should be abolished, and we should stop working for free. And it's that piece of things. So, Greg, is working an open house actually working for free?
No, the guy's a fucking idiot. You know, you know what?
Keep it classy. Keep it classy.
Keep it classy, San Diego. I'm in San Francisco. You keep it classy, San Diego. But no, he is a tard, and this is the reason why. Is that when you're working in an open house, you have a 3% chance of actually selling that home that day to anyone who comes through. But what you're truly doing is you're picking up buyers, and you don't know it, but there are sellers that are coming through and interviewing you at the open house to see if you have the class and the capability to sell their home. So it's a straight up interview. The whole 3 hours, it's an interview process. Unless you have a shitty house that's overpriced and no one comes to it, then it's just nap time and watching football. But, you know, besides that, and you have to get dressed up to do it, which sucks. But
who wants to get dressed up to go sit in an empty house and watch football?
My least favorite part is putting the damn signs out.
I hate that. I feel like an idiot. I'm like, I feel like one of those fools, you know, in the TV shows, like just lugging these signs along.
All right, Mike, what's your perspective on open houses?
Well, the thing is, open house. I'm not a huge fan of open houses. I guess I kind of go along with Greg there, but you know, you have to do them sometimes, make your seller happy. But it's not a waste of time. You know, you should be in there trying to lead generate. And most of our, you know, we get paid on commission. So I don't understand what that guy was trying to get at as far as working for free. We do activities every day throughout the day that may not necessarily correlate with a dollar amount at that moment, but at some point you're laying the groundwork to make the money in the end. So I got off on kind of a tangent there, but as far as open houses go, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of doing them, but I'll do them if I have to.
Yeah, so it actually is another opportunity for lead generation. I mean, yesterday I went door knocking with this flyer here saying, hey, we have an open house, come take a look at it. You know, it's bright, it's colorful, it's got what's going on. On the other side, I have, you know, a flyer about our house, so on and so forth. It's just another opportunity to go meet some people. I mean, I got straight up yelled at, and then I got by one dude who like really wanted to kick my ass for some dumb reason. And then I had an opportunity to meet a really cool guy that if we were getting 1-1 for this house, we walked into his house, which you shouldn't do, but I did it because I'm 6'5". And I'm a master in jiu-jitsu, karate, Muay Thai, MMA.
I'm sure you are.
And I carry an AK-47 right down the back of my jacket. So I'm somewhat safe to go into a house. And not to mention the machete down my thigh. But besides all that, and I got the eye rub so early in the show.
I know, man. We're like 9 minutes in. Good.
But I went in, and the guy's like, dude, you know, hey, if I could get 1-2 from my house, I might think about selling. And he gave us the idea of 2 people that were going to be making a move in about a year or so because they're going to transfer to Chevron. He gave me the addresses. So nice. Yeah. It is a lead generation source on multiple different sides. Prospecting for it, being at it, you know, and then prospecting around after the open house, you know, when you sell it. So write down said douchebag dumbass's name and let's petition the BRE to eject him out of our profession. He does not deserve to have a real estate license.
Well, fortunately, I think he's in Jersey or something like that. He's nowhere near any of us, thank God. But let's talk about that from the CMA side of things, because I've heard that floated around before, that agents shouldn't go out and even provide you know, an updated value, a comparative market analysis, even a rough value estimate without charging something for it, and that they should look at it as, you know, they're working for free, and it's really a service that should have a dollar amount value put to it. So, Greg, what do you think about that?
That you should charge for a CMA?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you. Okay. No, I say this with true passion. There's this sweet woman, dude. She's like 90 years old. Her name is Joe, and she's the funniest freaking chick I've ever met, dude. She says shit. I'm like, my face goes completely red. I'm like, I can't. How do I react to that? That's the most embarrassing thing I've ever said. But, dude, some douchebag came in and charged her $400 to do an MLS printout of 4 comparable sheets with a little bit of a write-up. Dude, that's robbery, man. Your job is to provide value, not take advantage of people because they don't know the difference. So no, this is part of your job description, okay? You have to do this stuff, guys. It's really that simple. Mike, please help me out. Help compound that issue.
Yeah. No, I think you hit it on the nail on the head with providing value. That's what our job is. That's what we need to do both for our clients and for potential clients. I mean, charging for a CMA, this is ludicrous to me, and I think if you're not out there doing the activities, providing value, you're not going to get the business. So I don't get it either. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's here's where the misunderstanding I feel like lives, right? Which is, people do not understand that at the core of what you do is a very super valuable, high value, high dollar service, right? So in order for people to commit to working with you, they have to take a series of mental steps and emotional commitments to like get to the point where they're ready to hire you, right? We would like for it, like everybody wants the leads where it's like, come list me, because it's easy. It's the easy button, Greg. You talked about that before.
Yeah.
We would love for that to happen. That does not happen unless either they're just not very committed and they just picked you at random and they were already going to do something anyway and you happen to be in their line of sight at that time. Those are fine. Or you've been communicating with them for so long, like Greg, you and your team have, that by the time they decide to make a move, you are the only logical choice. And then they'll say, come list me, whatever the case is, right?
Right.
So either way, in most cases, you have to take people through that progression of not knowing who you are and not caring about you, to kind of knowing who you are, to maybe semi-knowing who you are, to knowing who you are, to what the hell do you do again, to, okay, now I got it.
Are you a roofer?
Why should I work with you? What's the difference between you and everybody else that I don't know their name and don't remember what they do? And to then meeting with them, to then, like there's all these, this series of steps, and you have to provide value at every step along the way because it's a sample of what you do, right? So it's like saying if somebody came out with a new sports drink and, well, ours is $3.99 a bottle, we would be devaluing ourselves if we gave away free samples. Well, then good luck selling your new beverage.
Yeah, exactly. That would no, it's not going to work.
It's not gonna happen.
But Matt, I did find the easy button. I'm sorry, I did. My boy Phil over at Talon Prospecting, he is my appointment center.
We'll see. We'll see.
Shh. My time. This is adult time to talk. Okay, this is the adult time.
You must be this tall, Matt. You must be 6'1".
You're inches. You're just many inches too short to ride the ride. Okay, go sit down over there, enjoy your soft drink. Oh, you little chub. But no, my boy Phil over at Talon Prospecting, this guy sets appointments like it's his job. It is ridiculous. He sets like 11 appointments for me, not leads, appointments for me.
Right. Now let me ask you a question. Number one, who's he calling? Is it partly database?
No. It's all cold.
Leads?
It's all cold
leads.
Cold.
All right. Now,
leads.
when he calls, have you built up the brand recognition in your area to where they semi know who you are?
No, these are outside.
Or is it strictly cold?
These areas are like Concord, Walnut Creek, Pleasant Hill, where our brand isn't known. So Home Skillet is fucking legit.
Right. What is he doing? Is he picking out potential people that are potentially going to sell, like through all those algorithms of those different programs, or are you just calling cold neighborhoods, just random people? Just
straight cold. And the guy, like, when you talk to him, like, you feel comfortable around him. Like the first time I talked to him, you just feel good, and he transfers that ability into doing these. He'll do circle prospecting.
So you found a rock star. You found an A player.
Yeah.
All right. Now here's the question, because Mike brings up a very, very good point. Greg, you have the analytics.
Yes, I do, Matt. I do. Our team.
So why are you not forwarding that over to Phil and having him only call the people that are the most likely to sell?
Because there's a pesky little issue in regards called phone numbers. They have to be attached to it. So, I mean, we do have the analytics. We are the ones that invented the algorithm for predicting, who the most likely person to sell is. So all the rest of these fucking assholes that claim they have it, they don't have it, and I can prove it. We got the sheet. And that's a good point, Mike. Good point, Matt. I'm glad you guys are going to make me some money. I'll thank you for my.
We expect a 10% each cut of that advice.
I'll be expecting my referral check.
Exactly.
Oh, you guys are funny. That's cute.
All right, let's get into it a little bit. So, Mike, give us an idea of. Well, first, let's talk about what your business looks like right now before we take a step back and mention some people and share how to connect with you. So, what does your business look like right now? What's the main kind of lead generation lever for you?
So I'm a big sphere of influence Buffini guy, like we talked about before. I would say about 85% of my business comes from my database as well as through networking and establishing myself in the community. And the rest comes from, I get deals from the radio show and also through a little bit of farming, which I started this year. I have 4 tiers of business, but the main and the biggest tier is definitely sphere of influence and the networking part.
Okay, cool. So keep it. We'll talk about the networking and kind of have all that feeds in, but let's focus on the sphere stuff for now.
Yeah.
What's your main method of keeping in contact?
So I have a couple. I'm very systematic about, because my database is like a gold mine to me, I'm very systematic about keeping in touch with them. So, with Buffini, I love Buffini, but I think some of his tactics, it's a lot. If you're mailing to your database every single month, you're doing an e-report in the middle of the month, you're popping by, you're writing notes, there's a lot of stuff in there. So I kind of modified it to my own thing. So what I do is I email my database once a month. So it's kind of a low touch thing. I do a quarterly mailer to my entire database. I do American Lifestyle Magazine to my top clients bi-monthly. And then I also, I usually try to have at least 2 coffees or lunches a week with different people in my database to kind of keep in touch. And I'll write personal notes here and there. I usually try to get about 10 to 15 personal notes out a week. But what's really taken my business to the next level is events. And I have, luckily I have a really great assistant that used to be an event planner. That's her background.
Oh, wow.
So we do 4 major events a year. And, the big thing with Buffini is client appreciation parties. We do 1 of those. But so typically I do an event a quarter. So in the first quarter, I'll typically do a blood drive, which, anyone can do it. Anyone listening to the podcast, it's very easy. You get connected with Stanford or Red Cross, you set it up, you do it in your neighborhood or an area that you know well. And not only are you going to be able to invite your sphere of influence, but you also invite the community to it as well. It's like one of the easiest events to set up. And they even do the marketing for you. So it's really good. So do a blood drive.
What do you mean they do the marketing for you?
So Stanford and Red Cross, they actually make calls. When they have a blood drive, they do calls around in like a radius of where the blood drive is going to be. And they send out postcards too.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And you could double that up with sending out your own marketing piece too.
You should do a blood drive during Halloween.
Yeah, no, I've done that in the past. It was a good one. And I even had these pens that were syringes, but they're actually pens. It was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
So I do a blood drive the first quarter. Second quarter, I usually do a business. I participate in the Business Expo, which is, I have a whole setup, and that's more for me to invite my business contacts and vendors. So not only do they get they get to come and chat with me and hang out, but they also get to network with a bunch of other different business contacts. So it's beneficial for them and it's beneficial for me. So that's kind of how I segment out my vendors and my business contacts. The third thing I do in the third quarter, usually in September, it's every third Monday of the year in September, I do a golf tournament, which most people listening might get overwhelmed. A golf tournament is a huge undertaking. It takes freaking 10 months to plan it. We just had it in September. We started planning it the next month. So it's a big thing. If you have someone, you need help with a golf tournament. Trust me on this when I tell you that.
They do.
We actually raised $35,000 last year for the charities that we were donating to, which I'm very proud about. And it's just a good community event. We had about 120 golfers, a lot of which are my sphere of influence or their friends and family. And the great thing about a golf tournament, it allows you, and the great thing about events in general, is it allows you multiple touch points throughout the process. You have the invitation, the confirmation of RSVP, calling them to remind them about it, the actual event itself, the follow-up notes after, and then all the social media aspect that goes along with it. It's a really good excuse to be touching people in your database and your clients. So the golf tournament is third quarter, and then I do a holiday party at my house in the fourth quarter. This year I have about 100 people come into my house, and I get a bartender, and I get food catered. My family's actually in the restaurant business, so they come in. We bring in food. It's kind of a good marketing thing for the family too, and it's just a low key. Sometimes we do ugly Christmas sweater. I have gifts for them to take away with them. And again, multiple touch points on inviting them in that whole process too. So really the event piece of it is really taking my business to the next level.
I love that. I love what you're doing with that. We'll talk off of air, but I have a gal named Gina that's her background is running golf tournaments, and she can raise a crap ton of money. So if you want, I can connect you guys and make it from there. But I like the idea about the golf tournament. I don't like golf and I suck at golf. Let's get that up there, right? But I like the idea because of the multiple touches. You can go to Snapchat. You can create a custom filter with a geofence for the day of. You can do Instagram. You can do Facebook Lives. You can do a ton of social stuff. You can create your own hashtags. So then you can put together a whole photo list at the end of the event. I really think that's a great idea. I wish,
and it's good for the community too. I mean, you're giving back to the community, and which is something I care about a lot. And so it's a win-win. It's all in. It's a win-win for everybody, and people have fun doing it. You have a bunch of booze out there, and all that good stuff. So it's a good time.
And all those good feelings like splash back onto you and get associated with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so Mike, I got a couple. Ismail is asking a couple of questions. And I want to ask you, what type of cold leads or circle prospecting are you doing? Any of those?
Cold leads. So I guess the coldest leads I get are probably through the live radio show that I do. I get some leads through that, and I actually just incorporated farming this year. I finally figured out, after living in my neighborhood for 4 years, I'm like, you know what? I need to freaking farm this place. So I've been getting some leads out of that. I'm not a big door knocker. I used to sell roofing door to door in college, and I freaking hated it. So I'm not a huge door knocker, but I'm mainly, but basically, to answer his question, the cold leads I get are typically through the radio and farming. But for the most part, I don't get a ton of cold leads. For me, it's all about warm leads. That is the easiest way to do business, and in my opinion, the best way to do business.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Cold leads suck, but that's the way everybody thinks that they have to do it. I think that you have come up with some phenomenal ideas about how to do these events, because it's fun, right? It's prospecting. Now prospecting is fun. You get to go hang out and do what you like to do. Now all we have to do is figure out how to do the blood drive at the golf tournament event. Now we got a perfect thing. We got a bunch of drunk guys who are missing blood, like
people passing out on the course. That would be good.
Oh man. Yeah,
the EMS bill.
A blood drive, golf tournament, and a cookie drive or something all in one. So you gotta get them on the golf course, get them through the blood drive, give them a few cookies on the way out, and then send them on their way.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. We'll get the Girl Scouts of America to sponsor it. There's our cookies. Boom, got it.
Boom. That's right. That's it. Drop the mic. Show's over.
Genius.
That's right. Now we'll have to. So Greg, when you and I do events, we'll have to pair it up with some sort of cookie donation system. Not for needy people, of course, just for me. Just for me.
You guys, that's an inside joke. You guys, Matt doesn't stress drink when he's stressed out. He stress cookie binges. He will go down and go through a mean bag of cookies when he's upset, which is I find very funny.
You find very funny. Yeah, I don't reach for so scotch is like a wind down, nice, pleasant drink. I do not want to sully the experience by drinking when I'm upset.
Then go buy some Keystone Light and call it a day. You can sully the shit out of that stuff.
Keystone Light, come on.
Wow.
What's the opposite side? I mean, come on.
All right, Greg, come on now. You live in the Bay Area. You're not even supposed to know what Keystone Light is. Like Keystone Light should be like, what is that? Something like you put outside of a mountain to light the way, or what? Like that's how you should react to Keystone Light.
Hey man, I attempted to go to college. I mean, I know what that shit is. I mean, come on.
All right. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Attempted to go to college. All right, so let's take a step back. I want to, Mike, quickly share with us how people can connect with you, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's MikeDsells.com. That's MikeDsells.com. Or I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/MikeDRealEstate.
Awesome. That's easy enough. All right. So for our website, McDaniel, that is easy, man, especially with your last name, but nobody will get that. But so for ours, unfortunately, our URL is a little bit longer. It's McDanielRealEstateSystems.com. It's very easy, but it is long. So go there and check out two things. Number one, Greg's Favorite Scripts. That's a free download. It's got videos of me taking through him through all of that stuff. Every script buyer seller lead generation, client price modification, all kinds of good stuff. Anyway, so that's there. Go check that out. That's a free download. And then right below that is our high-tech, high-touch real estate farming video training course. It's where I sat down with Greg and I essentially threw him into a grape wine press and just squeezed out all of the goodness, all of the good stuff out of his mind and onto 8.5 hours worth of video, all about farming and warm, cold, and hot outbound prospecting, events. And by the way, guys, so speaking of events, so Mike, you shared kind of your calendar. One of the bonus videos on that whole video training course is where Greg goes through all of their events, the 3 types of events you should be running, which are, I believe, monthly, quarterly, and annual client appreciation. So there's a whole video where Greg lays out exactly his plan for what you guys do there with your team for events. So all that stuff is on the website, guys. Check that out. Greg, who do you have to shout out?
I got shit tons, dude. It's unfreaking believable. So guys, the McDaniel Challenge has been postponed. I am legitimately booked. Get a hold of this. Legitimately booked until mid-February 2018. Yeah, that's 2018, guys. So we are not taking any more McDaniel Challenge participants. I still have another 40 people to respond to. So it's probably going to be March or April of 2018 that I'm booked out to. So we are going to initiate the Jump the Line program, where when we do live, so you guys have to be live to watch us. If you're live and you have the McDaniel Challenge booked, then you can go ahead and message me when I say, hey guys, we have a Jump the Line Thursday, get a hold of me now with the date that you have. I confirm it, the first person in, boom, you jump the line. You don't have to wait a year and almost a half to talk with me. You guys will be able to make it happen the next day. So keep that in mind. And then, so I'm going to give some shout outs to just every single human being on planet Earth. First, my boy Phil for just rocking it for me. TJ, Doug, Frank, James, Lewis, Bob, Ismail, Evan, Sharon, Shannon, Louie, Rory, Brian, of course, Stevie, Sherry, Shannon, Heather, Tara, Mike, Rich, good Lord. Okay, well, Grant, we're going to stop there. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Keep on coming, guys. I love talking with you. I love helping you guys work through some whatever's stopping you, blocking you, holding you back. That's so right. There we go.
Cool. All right, so let's dive into the radio and podcasting stuff a little bit. So Mike, first of all, take us through what is the show that you host and co-host, and how did that relationship develop? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I started Real Estate Radio Live was the name of our program. It's started by a gentleman named Joe Kachera. He's a lender, New American Funding over here in Los Gatos as well. And I just met him through a relationship I had through networking. And, we had coffee, we had a good connection. And he said, hey, come on the show. And I came on. The first year I was a guest on his show about maybe a dozen times. And then after the first year, he's like, hey, do you want to host the Monday show? I'm like, hell yeah, I'll host it. It's a marketing expense for me. We pay for it. But I'm like, yeah, of course. I was nervous as shit the first show I did on my own. But, after a while, you get through it and it really just kind of became, second nature. And I really enjoy doing the show. And then the second year I was the host, I did it Mondays and Fridays, which was that became a lot, having 2 live shows because you're locked into that time frame. You have to fill all the guests and stuff like that. So I dialed it back this year, just back to Mondays. And we've been podcasting. We started podcasting all of our shows. So what we do is we edit out all the commercials now, and then we roll it into a podcast and upload that, which we've been getting a ton of traction on organically. And so we just started podcasting this last year, and now we're looking at doing away with the live show and just strictly podcasting 5 days a week. And I'm going to be doing a co-hosted show with him once a week, and then my own show as well once a week. And it's just going really well. It's going really well.
So what are you talking about on the podcast? A lot of people talk to both Matt and myself, hey, I want to do a podcast. So give them an idea of what you're doing. And
so we're a consumer focused podcast. So basically, like how you guys are talking, mainly what I guess to real estate agents or people in the business, and we're trying to help people build their business. We are trying to educate the consumer. So we're all about education, information. Our show is not like you don't hear us say, hey, call me now to sell your house. It's more like providing them the information that they're looking to get. We have a whole wide array of people on, from attorneys to other different types of lenders, to CPAs, to contractors, all sorts of different things that people care about. And then I do my own shows as well, talking about the market and stats and that type of thing. So to answer your question, our whole motto is education and information for the consumer. That's what we're all about.
Now, what kind of response do you get from the public? I know sometimes, KDOW is where you did your show. I was a co-host there for 3 years with another show. But I mean, what kind of interaction are you starting to see from the consumers? Are they asking for certain stuff? Are they connecting with you organically? How's that going?
Yeah, typically they're asking. So when we have hosts on or guests on, they usually like to reach out to them, ask them for their information. They have to come through us first. We like to facilitate a lot of those relationships and connections, especially if they have a need. Once they're listening to our show and they have a need, we'll definitely make that connection. And through that, we don't always just get, Joe doesn't always get loans right from a show, or I don't always get a listing directly from a show. But what happens is as you make introductions for these people to different people, they're going to keep you in mind down the road, and then they'll call you up, and then they might need some real estate help. So we're just getting people reaching out to us for the different guests that we're having on. And also if they have random questions about real estate and, about loans and stuff, then we talk to them about that too.
Well, you're building a brand, and you're getting, you're building your credibility and everything else. And then you're sitting in a listing appointment, you're like, and I host a weekly, radio show.
Right.
And they're like, radio? Oh, you're important. You must
exactly. That's a great point. I can't quantify how many maybe listings I've gotten or clients that have it's tipped the scale to me over the radio show. I mean, they don't just come out and say that, but I can guess quite a few people. You can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to a guy just this morning about how, he's looking to build a speaker business and things like that. We're talking about how podcasting and all this stuff kind of fits into it, and how indirect it is, right? So there's a guy that he hosts a podcast that's very similar, Greg, to yours and mine. Has a co-host, almost the same number of downloads. They're just more straight business focused rather than real estate, but they're kind of at that same point. And he brought that same thing up, that podcasting is very similar to radio. You have to look at it like media. So it's just like a radio appearance. It's like a TV appearance. You'll never be able to tie probably a specific deal to a certain appearance. It all takes it's the frequency, it's the volume of what you're doing, and it's consistently being out there, and it builds the brand, and the brand attracts people, and the brand can sometimes be that clincher where if they don't already know who you are, you kind of you encounter them and you draw them into your world, and then they find out, oh, I've stumbled on somebody who actually is somebody. And that can remove all credibility issues. It's very weird. So it's interesting. I was explaining it to somebody the other day. Like, if you think about it in terms of going back to what your core is, right? So you have this core service, but then you have this outer ring of people who kind of know who you are, and you're giving value, and there's no money being exchanged, just value, 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 value. Even if the people that are in that outer ring never make it to the inner core, they never actually do business with you. And let's say you have to actually go out and prospect for the business that you do get, the people that are in that core. Just the fact that you have this outer ring of people who know who you are, that you're giving value to, has a weird effect on the people that come into the very inner circle of your business. Because absolutely. There's all this credibility and social proof. That's a great word for it. Social proof that you are somebody worth working with. And even if they didn't come through you in a nice, neat circle, like they came through because they heard you on the radio and then they worked with you, even if they came to you through a networking event, which we'll talk about, when they find out that you are somebody and you have this other stuff going on, it destroys all the credibility issues. So let's get into the networking side of it a little bit. So when you're meeting with somebody, first of all, we talked about the events that you run, but what are some of the events that you attend that other people run to kind of get yourself out there?
Yeah, so one of the things I really figured out early on when I came to Intero, I had a business coach, and we really analyzed what I was good at and what I had interest in. And I think once you start prospecting business through things that you're interested in, you don't feel like you're working as much. Yeah. So for example, so networking is huge for me. So, and what I mean by networking is not, when people think of networking, they think of these trick or treat events where you're going and handing your card out to 50 people. Yes. That's not what I mean by networking. I mean integrating yourself into the community that you want to serve and being a part of that community and giving back to the community. So with that being said, two of the things that I figured out early on, not only do you want to network with potential clients, but you want to network with fellow agents too, because that's going to get you deals. So that's why I give back to my board. I'm the treasurer of the Santa Clara County Association of Realtors. I give back my time to the board. I'm also a director for CAR, which is where you and I met, Matt, at the expo. That's why I was down there. Yep. And just networking with I can't tell you how many deals I've actually gotten into contract because I knew the agent, they knew me, and they knew I wasn't a jackass, and they knew I knew, what I'm doing, right? And so that's one. So networking with other realtors, which is huge, and it's something that I would say 95% of other realtors overlook. Secondly, and then being on different boards. So I'm on the board of governors for the Silicon Valley Capital Club, which is a social networking club, and giving back to that. There's a lot of really pretty high quality people that go to those types of clubs. I'm on the alumni council for my high school, which I went to Archbishop Mitty High School, which is a private Catholic school. So, a lot of people with money, and giving back to, and that's who's buying and selling real estate. So giving back to my high school, which feels good. And I love my high school, and also getting deals out of that. I'm Italian.
If you love my high school, but yeah, go ahead. I can imagine.
Not everyone's going to resonate with that, but you get the point. And then the other thing is I'm Italian. If you couldn't already tell by my last name and the way I look,
it was a fuzzy line. I wasn't sure.
We figured Croatian, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, I've been on different boards for Italian organizations, and connecting that. And then also one of the communities that I serve is Willow Glen in San Jose. So I give back my time to the Willow Glen Business Association.
You have time to sell real estate, bro. Damn.
Yeah. So it's all about calendaring, man. It's all about calendaring, which I can get into in a second. Without my calendar, I'd be a lost little puppy. It's really
in a rainstorm with lightning strikes everywhere around you. It's a dangerous world out there without a calendar.
Yeah. So it's definitely, and it's also picking and choosing things that you're getting value out of too. Because trust me, I've been involved with other organizations that I've had to drop because it just wasn't worth my time. So really analyzing that every year, I look at, okay, what am I involved in? Where do I want to go? What am I getting? Am I getting enough out of this, or can I focus my time to something else? So, but yeah, the main answer to your question is calendaring.
So, Mike, what you're doing right now is what I think most agents should be doing. And you're doing what I preach for other people to go do. Go find a hobby, go find something that you're passionate about, and go get involved. Go be around other human beings. One of my business partners, Chris, when he started doing cycling and riding, he'd show up at like 2:00 in the afternoon on Wednesdays. I'm like, dude, what are you freaking doing? Get your ass in here and work. I was literally bitter at him for a little while. Then the referral came. Then the buyer came. Then the seller came, then the buyer came, then the seller came. And I'm like, oh, dude, seriously, go strap on spandex. Go ride every day. Go. Yep. Tiny wheels and spandex. It works out well for our bottom line, and it's powerful because you're not sticking in the office staring at the phone going, please ring. Please ring. You can do it. You're actually out there making a difference. People are bonding with you and you're having fun. It's a brilliant move.
And the other thing about it is, as you're out there in these maybe you're in different board meetings or out in the community doing things, it's almost like a passive interview. So people are watching you. They're watching how you act. So you have to be careful too about how you're operating, how you're acting, because people are watching you, and it's almost like you're interviewing for that potential lead or that potential referral they're going to give you at some point. So you really have to be cognizant of that while you're doing all these activities. And it's almost like you're constantly putting yourself out there, constantly interviewing.
Yeah, that's
the way I look at it.
Yeah, you are your brand.
Yes.
What you dress, what you say. So I'm screwed. But but it is fun though. I mean, putting together all these different groups. I mean, that's one of the things. No joke. I mean, I'm sitting down with myself and going to be kind of putting together what do I want to do. I'm trying to find a hobby. I was having a discussion with another agent here, and we were saying like, look, we got to get out of the office more. I mean, we got to go find hobbies and go do this stuff, because no one's going to look back in the 90 go, man, I really should have spent that extra Saturday in the office. No.
Yeah.
For us, Matt and I, podcasting is our hobby. But that's for growing this business. I need to do another hobby for growing my real estate side of the business. So I'm thinking, great, I got to find something to go do. So if anyone has suggestions, please write them in the suggestion box, and I will review them individually later. Thank you so much for everybody helping out. I cannot wait to see some of those suggestions. I'm like, go jump off a bridge, man. Oh, okay. No, that's not a good idea.
Isn't that called base jumping?
Yeah, I did. I am a licensed skydiver. And so I did do skydiving, and then I decided I didn't want to go splat, so I gave up that hobby.
That's probably smart.
Yeah, no more splat.
All right. So before we went live, Mike, you mentioned something briefly that I want to get into a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people that are curious about live local radio and whether that's effective. We've had guests on the show, especially people that are member of RATE, the Radio and Television Experts organization that helps book the ad time and then does all the back end work of making sure that you have like a successful solo radio show. If it's done right, radio can generate just a crap load of leads and help you effectively take over your entire area. Andy Mulholland is a great example of that. He took over Rochester, Minnesota. Like radio was the key to that. So you've kind of paired up with somebody. So take us through that relationship and how the show works a little bit with you only co-hosting. And then you mentioned that podcasting is actually becoming more effective. Like, so take us through that and why you guys are thinking about moving away from live radio and only into podcasting.
Yeah, so I think the live radio really in the beginning we were getting a lot of leads. It's kind of tapered off, and I think listeners get comfortable. You don't have as many new people coming in, whereas with podcasts you're getting consistently increased download amounts, and you can track everything. I think with live radio, I'm not knocking live radio. I think it's got to be a perfect storm. It's got to be the right radio station. It's got to be the right time slot. It's got to be the right area, and you got to market it properly. And if all those things fall in line, I think live radio can be really good. But with that being said, I do think the way the future is podcasting, and that's why we started seeing a lot of traction with just repurposing our live shows into podcasts. I felt like we were getting a lot more out of the podcast. So with Joe, our relationship, and to get back to your question, our relationship is basically, it's his main show. I've kind of been brought under his umbrella as one of his hosts. And now we're going to kind of partner up more on the podcast as co-hosts on a show. And the thing about podcasts is, as opposed to live radio, you're locked into that slot. You got to be there every time by that, at that time frame. Yeah. You can't miss out on that. Whereas with podcasts, like we're probably going to record all 5 shows on a Monday morning, and then we're set for the week. So it's much more flexible. And then you can release them when you want. So I just think everything with the podcast, and frankly, from what we've analyzed with the cost, is podcast is cheaper too. So live radio is not cheap. It's one thing you got to keep in mind. It's not cheap at all.
No. You could take that money in podcasts, and you could, promote your business on social media networks with little snippets, and explode your viewership and your downloads.
So did that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think there's a lot of people that are curious about it, and what's the inside scoop? Because it's one thing to work with a professional agency that hooks everything up for you, and that's a whole nother level. But most people are not at that level, and that kind of like fractional hosting and stuff like that might be ideal. But I've never heard anybody have that perspective on like not attracting new listeners. Like there's a bump initially and then it kind of tapers off. Because it's literally the exact opposite with podcasting. So usually with podcasting, it's you launch to nothing. And then you like nobody know, like you're basically talking into an empty 50-gallon drum for about the first year or 6 months or whatever, and then it starts to pick up, and then you just keep picking up steam. Now maybe 5 years down the line, maybe people are tired of hearing your voice, and you got to repackage yourself in some way, but that happens to everybody. But yeah, podcasting, you just keep building up steam, and the more social proof you have, because everything is tracked and because people can see the numbers, they can see when a show is growing and when it's not. And people are more likely to kind of jump on the bandwagon of something that's growing than they are where radio, you can't tell. There's no visibility to any of that stuff. Yeah. And the only way people can find you is by stumbling across you literally on the dial, which at least like, for example, here in San Diego, on our AM dial, I'm shocked. Like there's just not much. I mean, unless even for sports stations, there's not much for sports. I mean, essentially it's static and a lot of Mexican music, but
way to go. Way to play the race card, pal. Yeah,
exactly. Hey, I'm just speaking the truth. That's what it is. A lot of accordion. Man, that's a lot of accordion.
Oh my God.
But anyway, so there's not a lot else on the dial. You don't get a lot of people going, oh, I'm going to flip over to the AM dial and just channels, without that's kind of what you're looking for to pick up new listeners. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of got that across to people. So, all right. So we talked about the radio, we talked about podcasting, we talked about the events and stuff like that. Any other, let's go this direction. What's the next step for Mike D'Ambrosio? So what are the next things that you're looking to grow your business, or kind of the next step, whether it's lead generation or whether it's, adding staff or whatever the case is? What's the next step for you?
I have a couple of things. One is really launching the development side of my business. I've lately been getting more into working with developers into buying property, building houses, trying to get into small subdivision. Because with big companies like big builders like KB Homes and Lion and all, they have internal sales divisions. Whereas some of these small to mid-level developers, they typically hire out these marketing firms that don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to actually doing a real estate transaction. They might be okay at marketing, but they really have no freaking clue at how to actually do a real estate sale. Trust me, I've done deals with them, and so I really like the development side of things. It's exciting to me. And I've done a lot of research on a lot of the big top agents across the country, and a lot of them have been involved in large development projects. That's how they're doing this massive amount of volume. So the development side of things, I'm also, if people are listening in the beginning, I'm the assistant manager of my office. So I really do like the management side of real estate and helping people grow their business. And I don't know where that's going to go yet. Being an actual full-time manager at Intero, it's a tough job. You can make good money at it, but it's a tough job, and you're herding cats basically, and you're herding, independent contract. Greg, I'm dipping my toe into the water as an assistant manager, but I'm also still selling full time. Basically I'm really focused on the whole development side right now. That's where I'm going.
The funny thing is, going back to the manager thing, we were going through a managerial shift here at our office, and a lot of the top agents came to me and they're like, Greg, you should be our manager. You should be our manager. I'm like, you don't want me as your manager for two reasons. One, I'm scatterbrained, and two, I will fire all your bitch asses if you don't produce.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be our manager. But yeah, it is cats in a rainstorm. I mean, because everybody's independent, everybody has an opinion, everybody's doing what they do, and you're just like, okay, guys, I get it.
Greg, but Greg,
yes, Matt.
The brand of coffee in the break room is not the right brand.
It's not the brand. I know. I'll get right on it, Matt. I'll get right on it. Yeah, I know you need your Starbucks.
I like Starbucks, but I really prefer Sumatra and not Aztec.
Because it's not so grainy in the taste, I can taste the roastedness.
Yeah, and then like you don't have like sugar-free almond milk. This is not good work.
I can't survive within this environment. I cannot survive.
I cannot be expected to sell and thrive in this horrible environment.
God, the indecencies. I mean, child slavery and no almond milk. Two biggest priorities in life.
What the hell just happened?
That was just me and Matt just going off the rails as usual.
Oh, that's awesome. I do love the development. That's an interesting angle. So let me ask you this. So as you're taking your personal time to put it into another form of lead generation. Mm-hmm. So the existing things that are working, where you have a sphere of influence that knows you and recognizes you and so forth, have you considered bringing on somebody that can do the back end work for you so that you maintain the relationships and keep one foot in residential and just kind of do the listing appointments and stuff like that, and then pass off the actual work to somebody else for a split of the fee?
Yeah, I have. So currently right now, my team consist of myself and Laura, who's my full-time, assistant she does basically, and she's not your typical real estate assistant. She's done my business development, event planning, branding, marketing. I don't have her inputting my MLS listings, or, I have transaction coordinators that do my paperwork as well. But she's I'm taking a different spin on the whole assistant thing in real estate, because I feel like for so long, assistants just do kind of mindless tasks where they should be helping you go out and get business. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting back to your question so that's what I have right now. And then in the future, I want to eventually get a buyer's agent and then maybe they become, the main listing agent too. But honestly, and I'm not trying to offend anyone out here that's looking to grow this massive team. I really don't believe in that. I don't believe to make a really good living in this business and live a good life too, because that's important. Is you want to make money, but you also want to have fun. I don't understand this whole mega team movement, and building out with 4 or 5 buyers agents and listing agents and being the CEO. I really think that you can accomplish that by having a really good assistant that you pay well, mm-hmm. and maybe a buyer's agent. And I think you can really live a good life doing that.
Mike, we actually had a discussion with my father, who's the head of our team, today about that exact topic. I'm like, do we want to build this thing? Do we want to keep it where it is? And we, just like what you said, we've tried to build it before and it's failed because the agents are not going to work as hard as you work. The work ethic in the average agent is just pathetic. It really, truly is. And you and I, and there's some other people that are successful. We have a burning desire to be a different lifestyle, right? So then we're going to willing to put it in. And so we said, you know what, we're not going to hire any more agents. We're just going to work. So we're going to fill our bucket of leads and appointments and everything else to a level that's astronomical until the point we can't take it anymore. And then we'll bring someone else on, but they have to be pre-qualified and someone who's going to grow it. But you're right. Well, our price points, man, I think we're a little bit different than most of the country.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, we are very fortunate where we're at. This is the mecca of real estate. Maybe us and maybe New York. Other than that, I understand that. It's
as far as the ratio of like sale prices and the income you can make in relation to the hours you put in
to the amount of work. I mean, Matt, who did we had the gentleman out of LA that was on. He said the same thing. He's like, California is such an easier state than almost any other state to do real estate in. And so I was like, well, congratulations to me for living in California.
That's right. So 5.
Boom, yeah.
All right, so Mike, refresh everyone's memory on how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, MikeDsells.com. That's MikeDsells.com. Or you can go Facebook.com/MikeDRealEstate.
Yeah, and it sounds like you may not be a good fit for Mike's team because he's not building a mega team. But if you are interested in Intero, which I've heard nothing but good things about from everybody I've ever encountered that has anything to do with it, and I don't know anybody that's involved in the higher ups there, but you guys both do. So if you guys are interested in partnering up with, if you're thinking about moving brokerages, I think Greg, didn't Joseph Bradley move over there?
I think he did, actually.
I think he did, yeah. And so far, I think he's super happy. And so yeah, if you're interested in thinking about that, reach out to Mike about that too.
If anyone has any questions on Intero or wants to learn more about kind of what we talked about today, please reach out. I'm happy to help. You can email me too, Mike@MikeDsells.com too. So
perfect. Cool.
That's awesome.
And then, guys, for us, McDanielRealEstateSystems.com, you can go to there and get scripts and the video training course. For a shortcut link, if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, I forgot about this. I set up a new URL, myfavoritescripts.com. That goes directly to the page where you can pop your email in and download Greg's favorite scripts. And so don't forget about that. Remember to subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. And Greg, the Jump the Line.
Oh, jump the line, guys. Don't be the guy and gal that has to wait a year or more to talk with me on a private coaching. That's 100% free, by the way. There are no gimmicks. I had some guy ask me, what does free mean? I'm like, it means fucking free, asshole. It's free. And,
I don't know that it's worthy of the vitriol that you threw that, but whatever.
Anyway, so guys, jump the line. If you have to listen to us live. So turn all your notifications on, know when Matt and I go live. Either, follow me on Facebook. So when I go live there, when Matt and I start doing it there, or go to YouTube and go to McDaniel Real Estate Systems and subscribe to us. So when this show goes live, either way, or both would be preferable. Then I say, hey guys, we have a jump the line Thursday on our Wednesday show. Then you guys will be the first person that contacts me with the date that you had your original challenge set up. You will be able to jump the line from wherever you are to the next day. So I do believe we have a couple of them coming up after Thanksgiving. We're going to have a couple of jump the line. So guys, if you're listening to this, please start signing up. But if you're listening in 2020, well, sorry, that's not going to work out so well for you. But I love you guys. That's why Matt and I came up with this. I mean, we're booked out until mid-February of 2018 for the McDaniel Challenge. It's ridiculously awesome. Awesome how cool that is. And I just want to get you guys knowledge sooner than later. So anyways, guys, go follow me on Facebook.
More to come on that. We're working on some other stuff to bring more of Greg to you, and like more of a training environment, because I know that's what a lot of people want from you, Greg. They want that. They want to crack open your skull, and they want to get all the goodness out for themselves, like a ripe cantaloupe, but
not physically.
Not physically. Well, some of them may want.
Gosh.
But anyway.
And we got some events we're going to start booking up around the country, guys. We're going to be doing them Florida, New York, Chicago, Northern and Southern California. So keep your eyeballs peeled for that, and we will start coming to you guys live. If you want to help us go live, contact Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. Just shoot me a message. So facebook.com/pursuing results. That's the easiest way to find me. Message me. You can also email me, matt@pursuingresults.com. So if you have a connection, either your team leader, your broker, or you just want to help us put something together in your local marketplace where we put 50 or 100 agents in a room and deliver a ton of value and help people grow their business, we're more than happy to have a discussion and see if that makes sense. And I'm the person to reach out to for that. So with that, all that being said, that's a lot. Mike D'Ambrosio, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate you sharing everything.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great
and
stuff.
Then coming up on Monday, we've got Michael Benner. We're going to talk about relationship marketing and direct mail and how to use direct mail pieces, not just to throw things at people's face, but to actually build relationships with them and not just give them junk mail they can throw away. So that's on Monday. So anxious for that. That's going to be a great time. Until then, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Love you guys. See you soon.